Welcome to another NQ Ninja review of January 5th, 2026, and then we'll go into talking about tomorrow's setups. So today was kind of straightforward this morning, so I'm on the 30-minute here, and we had this channel that we started to kind of build, and I noticed it this morning around 8 o'clock. You can see right here, 8:30. I kind of drew this channel, and when I drew it, it was actually a little bit higher, so see if I actually had it about right here, something like that. Um, I don't draw my channels to where the ends have to be on every wick, but I do want the bodies to be at least touching on those channels. So that's kind of what we're doing here. So this is kind of how I drew my channel on the 30-minute, and you can kind of see what we're doing, right? This we kind of built liquidity, moving up and down, up and down, up and down. And so, really kind of signifying probably some sort of move. Obviously, one way or another. We did have a huge move the day on the second where we went pushed down, and that we pushed out of this zone that I marked up here. And again, this zone I marked it actually earlier this morning. Saw some action kind of going right here on 30 minutes, really showing you. So played out this morning, just kind of high level. We built it around 9 o'clock. We pulled out of this channel to the upside. We then dipped back into it at 9:30, but we created a wick, right? You can see what we did was the body was never within the channel. It's actually outside of the channel. And then we created what's called a three-bar play. And so a three-bar play is nothing more than just a one color, the opposite color, and then that same color on the previous candle. So it's a three-bar play. So it's green, red, green, and we pulled out of that. Um, so a three-bar play is nothing more than a bull flag in this situation. So if I zoom down to the 2-minute, I'll show you what I'm talking about. So here, um, you know, many people would say, this right here was what we were building to then break up out of that to the upside. Now, I actually see this a little bit differently, and I saw it this morning actually in real time. So I'm going to remove this really fast. So if we go here, and what I saw was actually a pattern. Now, a W pattern actually plays out a lot recently. And so what is that? So a W pattern is when we make a move in one direction, so probably all the way up here, right? And what we do is we kind of make our move down here. We then try to make the move in the opposite direction one more time to see if we can make it up to the previous levels. You can see that we get to this level here, then we actually break back down to make another bottom here. Okay, so I would say this is probably our bottom on this one. And then the second time we actually don't get as low. So that's kind of another confirmation of strength, is that we didn't get as low as the previous bottom. And so then we make our way back up, right? And so once we did that, I could tell that we're at the top of this channel, right? And we were breaking out. So we were creating this kind of W pattern. And sure enough, that's exactly what we did, was we create this pattern here. And once I saw this, I had a feeling we'd probably move up into this zone. Sure enough, we did right here. We didn't make it all the way to my zone, but that would have been close enough probably for me to exit. You can see we kind of made some movements here and finally got it up a little bit deeper. And then that's when we got the retracement later in the day. But yeah, I just want to show you this. So this is a pattern you can see a lot. So it's this W. So we come down, go back up, go down. We don't go down all the way, right? And then we move back up. So kind of create a higher low, if you will. And a lot of times you'll see that in the market. Again, this is on the 2-minute. So, you could kind of use that along with this this as well if you wanted to, as the break to the upside, and that's what it was. One thing I do use, and I haven't shown them on my charts yet, but I use a combination of moving averages. And this kind of helps me, this signifies a lot. This shows me a lot of what's going on. So this dotted white line is the VWAP, which is important. Tells us kind of the weighted average of volume. Then I have the 9 and the 20, right? So if I look at the 9 and the 20, it's gonna tell me a lot. It does. It tells me a lot. Um, Not going to go too much into that today, but basically you see the 9, which is the red, is above the 20. This is signifying strength, right, in this situation. Now, I don't put everything on this, but it is a place that many times if I'm in looking at a potential trade, I could take a trade. So when would I use this, right? So I'll kind of give you an example here. So earlier we did move into this zone, found a rejection point, and I could tell on this candle we have a lower high, right? So this was our high previous. Now we have a lower high, and we're kind of making our way down, right? So now we're getting below the 9, below the 20 as the 20 EMA, and we actually cross over on the 9 and the 20 EMA here, right? You can see it. But when would I kind of look at this for potential downside play? So here you'll notice that we kind of went down, um, and we kind of built some liquidity right here. Then we made another leg to the downside. So any rejection of this 9 would be a good entry on a short. So I would kind of look at the 2 minute, say, okay, what on the 2 minute am I seeing? Let me kind of move over. So where would I find a really good potential trade here, right? So broke out of this, we really start to kind of make these top wicks, right, on the 2 minute. You can see it here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So several wicks here, right? We try to make our way back up. So some people would probably draw this line here. If we break that, they would take it. I would actually be looking at, so we did attempt to move up right here, but we created a wick signifying weakness. So once we got that and kind of breaking back down, I would probably take an entry around here to the downside. And where would I be taking it to? I honestly would probably be taking this to my first stop would be the bottom of this bigger wick you can see here on this candle. So let me kind of remove some of this on the chart to show you what I'm talking about. So candles, there's a lot to candle trading, right? But when it comes to candle trading, long wicks such as this one right here at 12:10, they have to be filled. What does that mean? It means that a candle after this particular wick will have, at some point it's going to have to fill all the way down here, right? So if I take a trade here, one thing I'm looking at is, oh, well, I have this wick down here, so this is probably going to want to come down and fill to at least here, right? At least here. And sure enough, that's what we did. So I would probably take off, 1 or 2 MNQ here. And then I would try to look for the top of this channel. Again, if I kind of zoom out, I'll show you what I'm talking about. I would look to take this to that top of that channel. So if I kind of zoom out here, um, all right here. Sorry, got lost in the charts, but yeah, you can see it right here. Kind of take it down, and then once I get to the top of this channel, I'd probably take the rest if and maybe leave one runner just to see if we continue down. But that would have been a really good play to the downside. Um, Outside of that, you can see what we did today. Kind of went into this channel again, and we started to kind of bounce off of the channel. So we kind of started to make our way down, moving. We did have an engulfing candle here, signifying a little bit of weakness. You can see that we did get that cover here on the bottom of that one later in the day. But that's kind of what we saw today. The other thing I'll kind of make a note. There was this morning another trade I took. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, so this is the one this morning at open. So I saw it open this right here, right? Uh, we have this nice trend, this channel to the upside, and I thought if we could break this down, I believe it was right here, yeah, at 537. So this is a no wick. This is something I want to show you. So this is what's called a no wick right here. So you can see that on this candle right here, there's no wick on it, right? And that's signified by this yellow candle, meaning that there's no wick. So at some point, the market's going to come down and try to fill this area, right? It's going to want to touch this area. So I actually took a trade outside once we got below this channel and made our way down and actually exited right before that, which is, I mean, nailed it right here. That was my exit. Had a limit trade. So that was a really nice trade. I think I made it was 622 to 538. So you're looking at, you know, 80, 90 points right there. MNQ um, did pretty well today on that, and called it quits with that. Again, we're just looking for 200 to 300 a day, but obviously if the market's going to kind of give us a setup, then I'm going to take that setup, right? I'm not looking just for a number. I'm looking for a particular setups. Once we got that, I had a feeling we could potentially turn around and move back up. That's exactly what we did. I will say that there's a couple things I'm looking at here. This will be a good kind of learning experience. So we broke this channel. This channel, a lot of times when we have something like this, we're going to want to break down to the bottom of that area, and that's kind of what we did here. But we have the VWAP right here, right? So just being careful of VWAP as support, and that's actually what we did. We came down, used it as support. You can see we created all these wicks right in here, and then we moved up. So that was my trade for the day. Now, what can we expect for tomorrow, right? So if we kind of zoom over and let's just kind of look at what we see on the higher time frame, right? So let's start at the hourly, kind of make our way down. So on the hourly, you can see that we had this kind of movement the other day here, right? Moved up and then we dropped down hard, right? We kind of saw that today in a similar sense here, right? Move up and then we drop down. Now, my question is will we get continuation? So you have to look at things both ways, right? So what I would say here is we have these zones. So what are we looking at when we're trading? There's a couple things. First thing is trend. We want to know the trend that we're in. Are we up or down? So in this situation where we were up today, and then we kind of, sold off a little bit. The second thing is structure. The third thing is zones, and the fourth thing are my moving averages, right? So you can really see that if we're going to be weak, right? If we're going to be weak, we're going to take this area and we're going to break below it. So we're going to actually break below this, but I wouldn't take my trade yet, right? I would wait for a retest, then a breakdown, okay? And if we can get that move, this would be really nice to the downside. So you're talking potential, 150 point move right there, right? So there's that. If we're going to be weak. Now, if we're going to be strong, so let's kind of look at this. If we're going to be strong, right? What does that look like? So you can see that we're starting to kind of build this cup, if you will, where we're starting to curve. And the question is in the morning, are we going to be moving back up to complete this cup, right? All the way back up to complete the cup. And I actually think we have more room to the upside if that does happen up here. to around, what is this, to the 800s area. Um, the question is, are we going to get that, right? So if we did that, that'd kind of give us a cup and handle here. There's the cup. This is your handle to then move back up, right? So we could be trying to get that if we're going to be strong. But if we're going to be weak, you can kind of see it here. Um, if I go to the 30-minute and I look at this channel that we have, actually, it looks like we're trying to retest the bottom of it right now. If we're going to be weak, what we're going to do is shoulder, head, and then we're going to break out to the downside right here. So that's what we're kind of looking at tomorrow. Let's see what we get, and I will talk to you tomorrow.